Close your eyes for a moment. Can you hear the rustle of the leaves in Kokiri Forest? Feel the weight of the Master Sword in your hand? Remember that first breathtaking step onto Hyrule Field, the world stretching out before you, full of promise and peril. For many, that moment wasn't just playing a game. It was stepping into a legend. This was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Released on the Nintendo 64 in 1998, Ocarina of Time didn't just define a console, it defined an entire generation of adventure games. It wasn't just a masterpiece, it was a blueprint. But how did a game from over 2 decades ago achieve such timeless status? And what lessons does it still hold for games today? Just like Mario 64 revolutionized the collectathon and 3D platforming of the genre of the generation, Zelda really, I think, defined how adventure games look, play, and feel to the player. The innovation of Z-targeting was monumental. It transformed chaotic 3D combat into a focused, strategic dance, allowing players to lock onto enemies, circle strafe, and use items with precision. Coupled with a camera that largely stayed out of your way and Link's incredibly responsive movement, Ocarina of Time set the gold standard for how 3D characters should control and interact with their environments. It made the player feel truly in command, a crucial element for any grand adventure. Even though Z-targeting was a big monumental feature in the game, I feel like it did take a little bit of time to get used to it. In my first playthrough of the game, which, if I'm being honest, wasn't too long ago, I never actually played Ocarina of Time as a child. It was difficult to get used to the way Z-targeting worked because it wasn't as familiar to me as other strafing mechanics are in games. But after a while, I did get used to it, and it became such a feature that I use a lot because it does help you fight and not get hit by enemies. Beyond the technical prowess, Ocarina of Time created a world that felt tangible, alive, and full of character. From the childlike wonder of Kokiri Forest to the bustling energy of Hyrule Castletown, every corner of Hyrule was meticulously crafted, brimming with secrets, side quests, and memorable inhabitants. Obviously, Breath of the Wild being my very first 3D Zelda that I've ever played, comparing it to Ocarina of Time is not fair whatsoever. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do feel more alive and more vibrant than Ocarina of Time, but that's because of the times. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom are modern AAA titles compared to Ocarina of Time, which is a 20-plus-year-old game. But putting myself in the shoes of of a kid 20 years ago, Ocarina of Time really did feel like a very big adventure, very big game compared to the previous gen of just 2D side-scrollers. Even now, the world in Ocarina of Time feels pretty big for the type of game that it is. I did sometimes get lost, and I had to look up walkthroughs or cheat a little bit because the game is pretty big, but it doesn't hold your hand, which on one hand is a good thing. It doesn't baby you, but the other hand, some people might not figure shit out, but it is what it is. If a little kid can beat it back in '98, any grown-up me can do it now. So I'm not faulting the game at all for it not holding your hand. If anything, I think it's a good thing that it did it, because I feel like back in the day, games were like relatively easy. Like they weren't anything too difficult. There was a challenge, but they weren't crazy hard like something like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. But the true genius lays in the time travel mechanic. The 7-year jump wasn't just a plot point, it was a profound emotional experience. Witnessing the once vibrant Hyrule succumb to Ganondorf's darkness, seeing familiar faces aged or gone, and understanding the weight of your failure as a young Link, it added an unparalleled layer of emotional depth and narrative urgency. It wasn't just a world you explored, it was a world you felt responsible for. And I did not see that coming when I played the game. And honestly, I don't think it's a gimmick or like a convenient plot hole like a lot of time traveling things, use it as. It really makes you feel like you failed, like you fucking failed, like you lost the game before you even began playing it completely. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to see Link, or I guess yourself, grow up like in an instant, and also like you missed everything. Like typically, you as a player, you experience time, you experience change, you experience emotions, but in this game, you don't experience any of that shit, and you just get thrown into, when evil won, basically. I also liked how when you're playing as young Link and grown up old Link, some mechanics are locked behind the age of Link. I mean, I think it does get annoying. It was annoying in the beginning, like, oh fuck, dude, I can't use this. I can use my boomerang, or I can't use, whatever the fuck, I forgot. But I think it's cool that the game really challenges the player to really use the tools at your disposal and not just use, everything all at once. And now, if you played any Zelda game, you know that dungeons are a big thing in these games, and I think that experiencing dungeons in 3D for the first time in a Zelda game I think it was a challenge for the developer to make them really good and a great experience for the player, and I think they nailed it. I think the dungeons in this game are very fun and enjoyable, challenging, but not like crazy hard where you rage quit. And so each one was a self-contained masterclass in design, teaching you new mechanics and then building upon them. The Forest Temple introduced you to the game's core principles, while the Fire Temple tested your environmental awareness. The infamous Water Temple became a rite of passage, demanding spatial reasoning and an item mastery. Every item you acquired wasn't just a weapon, it was a key, unlocking new paths and allowing you to revisit older areas with a fresh perspective, constantly rewarding exploration and clever thinking. And now, as much as I just praise the dungeons, I will say that, they were tricky. I mean, that's the whole point. They were tricky and challenging to the point where I didn't get tilted, but I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do, type of thing. So they are a challenge. They're not easy to conquer. They really make you think and use everything that you have at your disposal to complete the dungeon and move on with the story. And speaking of the story, beyond the mechanics and story, Ocarina of Time achieved something truly special, an unparalleled sense of atmosphere. The game's pacing was masterful, balancing moments of intense action with periods of quiet exploration and contemplation. The subtle environment storytelling, the way the world felt alive even without direct dialogue, was revolutionary. It almost felt like, I wouldn't say a light novel, or not a light novel, a visual novel, but it felt like you were playing more of a story than a game, if that makes sense. Like with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I think their stories are, I wouldn't say flawless, but both games made me, cry, not gonna lie. But I still felt like I was playing a game and experiencing a good story. While in contrast to Ocarina of Time, I feel like I was more experiencing a story with a game attached to it. Like I was just moving Link to the next chapter of the story, not because I wanted to get to the next level and experiencing something new. I mean, obviously, yeah, I want to experience something new, but I wanted to progress the story and see what was going to happen next, because it felt like I personally was the one saving Hyrule and defeating Ganondorf. Each environment really felt different from one another. Nothing ever felt the same. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like what The Last of Us did with, I guess, spoilers for a 10-year-old game and show at this point. Like, we're at the beginning. The game starts you out with a fucking death. And not knowing the characters, not knowing who the fuck they are, not knowing anything about characters, it still hits you, right? Joel's daughter dying right at the beginning really hits you, even though you just met them. And it's the same thing with Ocarina of Time. Like, in this game, the Deku Tree fucking dies, like, the second you spawn into the game. And I was like, wait, hold on. I thought I saved this guy by, like, going inside of him and... Yeah, that's what she said. By going inside of him and, freeing him from the curse of the stupid spider thing, or arachne, whatever the hell it's called. No, he dies. I was like, okay, fuck it, I guess I'm hurt now. And right after that point of the tutorial segment, I guess, that's when the game just puts you out there and it's like, okay, bro, good luck. Save Hyrule and defeat Ganondorf. There you go, that's it. And nothing else. it is overwhelming for a first time player. It was overwhelming for me. It was overwhelming for me a little bit. But you know, I just fuck it. Just pushed on the analog stick and beat the game just by playing it. And slowly discovering the secrets, the NPCs, the side quests, and it's like there is a pre-made path that the player needs to take. But in order to get to that pre-made path, you have to follow the initial steps, because the game does give you a push, right? It does tell you what to kind of do, but it doesn't tell you exactly what to do. And from there, you can gradually add on to what your next steps are and where you need to go. And just like any other Zelda game, you can literally just go up to Ganondorf and kill him, right? But obviously you don't want to do that. You want to get all the shit and get stronger and learn the game, blah blah blah. Like, one thing I didn't do in this game, I never got the horse. I never got Epona or Epona, however you want to pronounce it. I completely skipped it. I had no idea that you can get the horse. I'm not gonna lie. Even though the horse is in the main title sequence and shit, I didn't get it. I didn't know how to get it or where to get her or how to get her. So I was horseless for the entire game. And that's what I mean, that the game does not tell you what to do. There's no predetermined path. I mean, I did say there was like a pre-made path, but that was more like it's more of a guideline. There you go. It's more of a guideline that you need to follow. It's not necessarily the way you're supposed to play the game. Like the way I played it, I did the Forest Temple first, which I think is mandatory. I'm not sure, but okay, let's say it is mandatory. You do Forest Temple first, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can go Ice Cavern, you can go Water Temple, or you can go Fire Temple. I went to the Fire Temple, but someone else can go Water Temple, and that's what I mean, that the game, it just throws you in the world and save it on your own, bro. Good luck. And besides the world and the environment looking amazing, I think the sound and the music also play a big part in it. So the sound design, Koji Kondo's legendary score is iconic, but it's more than just catchy tunes. The music dynamically shifts with your location and situation, enhancing every emotion. The satisfying ding of a solved puzzle, the triumphant fanfare of a secret found, the distinct cries of enemies. Every sound was meticulously crafted to immerse you deeper into Hyrule. It's a game that understood that the atmosphere isn't just about what you see, but what you can feel and hear. If you saw my video on Majora's Mask, you'd know that the music in these games is something that I truly love. I learned how to play. I mean, I kind of forgot now. I have to relearn it. I learned how to play Ocarina of Time's main thing. The one that plays every single time you boot up the game when he's riding the horse. I think one of my favorite things about the Zelda games, besides the story, besides the gameplay, the characters, I think the music really is the number one thing that I love the most about these games. The music, to me, it just hits a lot. It hits hard for me, and it hit hard enough for me to learn some of the music pieces in the game. I'd like to learn more, but they get more difficult, and I suck dick at piano. So yeah, I know that the sound design plus the music in this game is, honestly, you can maybe argue that it's flawless. So why does Ocarina of Time continue to be held in such high regard, even as game technology leaps forward? It's not just nostalgia. It's the sheer brilliance of its design, its intuitive controls, its layered world, its ingenious puzzles, and its emotionally resonant story created a template that countless adventure games still follow today. It could be nostalgia for some people as to why this game is pretty much a masterpiece, but as I said before, I never played this game when I was a kid. I never got to experience this game in its heyday back in 98, I was 2 years old. So the early 2000s when I started playing games. And that says a lot. Well, it doesn't say a lot, but the N64 was my very first console. So I had Mario Kart, not Mario Kart, I had a Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, and a few others. But the mainstay games that everyone played, I didn't have them. I was a tiny little fucking toddler, and my parents obviously didn't know shit about video games. So they only bought me what, like, I guess looked cool on the box art. I don't know how they bought my games, to be honest, because they also bought me Mortal Kombat 4, and I don't think Mexican immigrant parents are gonna know how to, what the fuck that game is, So like, part of me does regret not playing these like staple childhood games when I was younger, but it's how I grew up. It's not really, it's literally out of my control. So basically, all that tangent, long story short, it's not nostalgia as to why this game is basically a timeless, Ocarina of Time, a timeless masterpiece. It's basically everything I said put together. It's gameplay, its storytelling, its pacing, its music, its environments. Everything about the game makes it a masterpiece. It taught us that 3D worlds could be vast and interconnected, that combat could be precise, and that narrative could be both epic and deeply personal. It's a game that continuously rewards curiosity, challenges your intellect, and leaves an incredible mark on your imagination. Ocarina of Time wasn't just a game, it was an experience that shaped a generation, and its magic continues to resonate, proving that true genius is timeless. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time stands as a monumental achievement in video game history. It's a testament to bold innovation, meticulous design, and heartfelt storytelling. Whether you first drew the Master Sword decades ago, or discovering its magic for the very first time, this journey through Hyrule remains an essential, unforgettable adventure. So if you played Ocarina of Time, tell me in the comments, what are your most cherished memories of, the game? Um, or share anything about the game, whether you played it, whether you haven't played it, or if you wanna say something else in the comment section, like what game I should talk about next. I usually don't spoil my next video, but I think I'm gonna do Ratchet and Clank, maybe, who knows. So yeah, if you liked the video, if you enjoy the content that I did procrastinate this video, not gonna lie. I usually try my best to post once a week or a little bit, less than a week, but this time I did procrastinate a little bit. So yeah, I apologize for that. I'll try to get Ratchet and Clank. If I do Ratchet and Clank, I'll probably do it sooner than this video. But yeah, comment anything down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you were a subscriber of YouTube. Share this with your friends and family. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.